and we'll watch as you fall down the mountain. Hi, it's EasyOrElse with my finished rusty metal throw. In driving around, we see a lot of rusty metal roofs. So I wanted to think up of a way of copying that idea into a throw. Here's what I came up with. The colors are awesome. It's a simple stitch with just a lot of color changes. So let's do this. In making this project, I used 2 strands of yarn, just the regular worsted weight, and I used the gray hook. The next smallest size that I have is the N hook, so you can see the difference there. And I realized that this makes a really loose weave. So if you wanted a tighter weave and not such a big, larger loop, you could use the smaller one. It would make it much tighter. So this whole throw is done with half double crochets in the back loop only. And what that does is create that ridge, which gave me the look of a metal roof, the corrugated metal. The hardest element is that you're just making a lot of color changes. But because you've kept the stitch easy, it goes together really fast. This only took me a couple of sittings to put this together. The finished throw worked out to be about 37 inches by 55 using this hook. I chained 90 on these to get the stripes going that way. So I've got a starter sample here. This gave me really good practice to tie the knots between color change. So here's my first row. I've just done a chain and then a row of half double crochets. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work. Remember, I'm doing back loops only. I'm going to go into these back loops. So I go into the very first one, yarn over, and pull through. I'll do a couple. It is a very loose weave. And then as I was going along, I just picked super random spots to decide I wanted a color change. You'll have a hard break or a soft break. You can choose to change both colors of yarn. Here's an example of the 2 colors of brown, and immediately they both changed to a tan and gray. Or in a case like this, I had the cream and the green, and then I just changed the cream color to the darker gray and used that until I changed. You'll want to do both kinds to give you that real rust effect so that from far away your eye doesn't see just breaks. So let me show you how to change the yarn color. If you've never done the yarn knots, this is a good throw to try that on. I'll show you both kinds of knots that I used in this. And this one, hold both strands out, just hold a little bit out. I'm going to let go and pinch again with my finger, around the thumb again, let go, pinch with my finger. Third one, I'm going to come right in front and fold those little ends over and pinch. Now as I pull, you can see this is going to start to tighten in on itself. You see that? And I'm pulling hard. And if you have any little fuzz left, you can go ahead and cut that off. Leaves a nice, super tiny little knot. So there's one method. And for the regular break, then you would just continue to crochet. Half doubles, back loop only. You don't worry about where the knot's going to come. Continue to crochet until you decide that you want another color change. When I get to the end, on mine it looks like that's your last one, but there's actually one more here. That loop right there, be sure you catch that before you turn and go back. Otherwise your throw will start to get smaller and smaller. Remember to chain 1 and turn. Now I'll change color again and show you the second kind of knot that I used. Let me go a couple of stitches in. And I just made sure that I didn't start and stop always in the same spot. I might have gone a little farther and changed so that it started to give that offset look. So here I want to start a new color. And I'll take that second gray and get rid of that. And let's throw in some black. So the second knot that I made, I just held these in my hand and flipped them over. I just held this loop in this hand and I just basically made an overhand. Tied a knot like that. Then I did the same thing on the other side. As I started to pull, the yarn is starting to roll together. Cut the tails off. And I'm pulling hard. So here's the two different types of knots. This was the one where I went over the fingers twice. This is the one that I just made. They're both very small, they're both very strong. So even if you're going to have a throw that you're going to wash, that should hold. So again, the stitch is easy. The practice comes in just changing the color. But because it's an easy stitch, changing the color just wasn't that hard. Make as many breaks as you want. If you change colors less often, you'll just have more of a solid gray. And it's just deciding where you want the rust spots. And I didn't have a plan. I literally just mixed all the colors I had together. I had leftover balls of browns and creams, and I just kept changing color. You can see how many different color changes through here. It truly does look like a rusty metal roof. The other tip is if you don't have a lot of leftover yarn colors, you can buy this variegated yarn. These are both Super Saver Red Hearts, and this gave me a lot of that rust color. I did take the time to unwind. I would start with this color and wind till that color change came, and it would give me a ball about that size. And I would do that for every color that I came across. That way I could pick and choose, and it gave me a lot of variation in color without having to buy a lot of skeins of yarn. So I just had one of these, and then a 1 pound skein of the regular gray yarn, and that helped me make this whole throw. Once I was finished with that, I wanted to make an edge, because obviously this is a very stretchy throw. So I went back to my smaller hook. This is an end hook. So the entire throw then is just edged with what we call a crab stitch, which is just single crochet going backward. You can see I've already gone along this edge. It makes a nice rope looking edge. To do the crab stitch, all you're doing is you're working backwards. I'm just going to do a single crochet into this stitch, pull up a loop, and you want to go down and twist, and then yarn over and pull through. Again, I'm going to tilt, pick up the stitch, yarn over, down, and twist, because I want that second yarn on the outside edge. And stay loose. Don't worry about going too tight, because this is already a smaller hook. The down and twist is what gives it that roll. And that's the crab stitch. And again, it just helped this edge finish off. Look how loose those loops were. So this gives it not only a decorative edge, but it protects those loose loops at the end to keep it from getting snagged on something. That's where you're going to grab with your hands. Once you finish that, weave in your ends, and you've got yourself an awesome rusty metal throw. That'll look great. If you liked this video, leave a comment in the section below and hit like and subscribe.